Good morning and welcome to the second of our Crisis Ready and Continuity Planning videos for the Scenic Rim region. I'd again like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands wherever we're meeting today and acknowledge elders past, present and emerging. First up, for those of you who didn't watch the introductory video, I'd just like to introduce you to the CrisisReady app. This is available for you from the Scenic Rim Regional Council. You can download it from the App Store or from Google Play, and it will ask you, once you've downloaded the CrisisReady app, it will ask you for a code, and that will be Risk Scenic Rim. Once you've entered the code, if you scroll right down to the bottom, you can create a new profile, and that will give you access to the app for the next 2 years. Now, the app is specifically designed to take some of the stress out of your crisis response, so specifically to guide you through actions you may need immediately, in the mid-term and long-term, once a crisis impacts your business. As we go through today's session, we will be looking at different areas within the app, so make sure you have it to hand as we go through the session. You'll also see on the webpage that you downloaded this video from, or that you're watching this video from, that there are 2 additional support resources, a template and a workbook for you. So please make sure that you download those documents as well to help support your learning through today's session. So just as a quick refresher, a crisis is any situation that has the potential to affect long-term confidence in your organisation, your product or your region, or that may interfere with your ability to continue operating normally. It's that panic moment that is outside of your natural control. So there are 4 phases of crisis management that we respond to here in Queensland, and that's the prevention, preparedness, response and recovery. So you'll note that there are 4 videos that focus specifically on prevention, preparedness, response and recovery, one looking at each stage of the 4 phases of crisis management. This video is focusing specifically on prevention and risk management planning. So, in order to be able to prevent a crisis or to understand the risks that are impacting our business, we first need to identify the hazards to our business. Now, according to the disaster management plan for the Scenic Rim, the biggest floods for the area are riverine flooding, flash flooding, cyclones, east coast lows, heat waves, and of course, bushfires. Other geological threats include earthquakes or landslips, erosion with or without a disaster event attached to it, and dam failure. In terms of biological threats to the region, epidemics such as COVID-19, or perhaps something less severe such as chickenpox outbreak, biosecurity challenges such as crop disease, and emerging diseases, things like avian flu. And we also have other hazards for the region as well, things like major transportation incidents, terrorism, cybercrime, and health and safety issues for the region as well, and for your individual businesses. Now, in line with those identified risks or hazards, we can then identify what the impacts would be to our guests, the current controls that we have in place to reduce the impact of the risk. From there, we can assess the probability and the impact of these influencing our business, and then identify areas which we can mitigate or take action to reduce the associated risk or threat to our business. Now, in the templates, you'll find that the risk assessment template is in there for your business. And we do encourage that you go through and explore the types of risks that are likely to impact your business and work through each of these columns to assess the level of risk with each of those different elements. So for example, a heat wave. The impact on your guests may be heat exhaustion, heat throat, or to your property it may be a fire or explosion situation. The current controls that you may have in place, things like supply of water fountains around your property, perhaps shades and rest areas that give your guests the ability to get out of the heat, or fire extinguishers available across the property as well. In terms of assessing the probability of the risk impacting your business, there's down on the left-hand side, you'll see that there is a rating scale for you. So 1 is a rare impact, so the incident would only occur in exceptional circumstances. 2 is unlikely, that it could occur at some times. 3 is possible, that it should occur. 4 is likely, that it will probably occur in most circumstances. And 5 is almost certain, that it's expected to occur in most circumstances. In terms of the impact that it will have on your business, again, there's a scale rating of 1 to 5, from insignificant, where the impact is very small, all the way up to catastrophic. You'll see on the right-hand side of the screen that impact and probability are then mapped to give you a risk status overall. Now, when you've determined your risk status for all of the risks that exist within your property or your experience, your product, then you can identify where you need to focus your efforts in reducing the associated risks. So those that are sitting in the top right-hand corner, those real severe risks that have high likelihood and high impact, those are the areas that you really want to start addressing in your business. So identifying key action items that may help to reduce the impact, or ways that you can stop those happening altogether if possible. So it could be things like the removal of flammable objects, of hazardous areas, having medical teams available on site, putting in additional water fountains or areas where visitors can access water, or having key information and communication available for your guests at certain times of year to help reduce the associated risk that sits with that hazard. So, as I mentioned, our risk matrix is used to see where our risks are ranked and to prioritise the action that we take. So those 15s, 16s, 20, 25, all of those are really severe. So they've got a high probability of impacting our business, and they would have a major or a catastrophic impact on our business or on our guests. As such, those are the areas that we want to prioritise, the areas that we want to focus on. That mid-range, those yellows, are also quite important to focus on. Now, it may be that some actions are really affordable and small and can be easily implemented. However, some of your risks may pose great threats and maybe a little bit more complex to overcome, with some more expensive responses required to support your business in mitigating those risks. So perhaps that's something that you need to budget for over the next 2 or 4 years, or whatever it may be, in a way that is affordable for your business. So again, taking those low-lying, easy-to-do actions first, and then prioritizing those key areas of risk for some of those more expensive mitigation processes that you might need to put in place. In terms of things to consider when you're managing your risk, in terms of physical risk, consider what stock is essential to your business and that you want to protect as much as you can. So for example, if you're in a museum, then you may want to look at some of your key items or your key records that you don't want to be damaged and identify a safe space for storing those should a risk situation come up. You also want to keep your property up to date with your maintenance. So things like making sure that your gutters are cleaned out on a regular basis, that you're servicing your fire equipment as per the requirements in Queensland, that you're cutting back your trees, that you're mowing your lawns, that you're doing everything you possibly can to maintain your business and reduce the impacts of risk. In terms of managing your financial risks, consider your insurance coverage. What is insurable? What's covered? What's in and out of your policy? If you're not too sure about what's in and out of your policy, then make sure you have a conversation with your broker or your insurance agent to understand what is covered in the terms of your insurance coverage. One thing that we saw during COVID is the importance of a strong booking and cancellation policy in place as well. So making sure that if you've had some challenges over the past year, that you've amended your policies accordingly to better reflect the needs of society. Also consider your financial reserves and your planning for the future. So if your key markets were cut off for a period of time, how much do you have in the reserves? How long will that last your business? And how can you prioritise the payments that are required to make for your business to continue operating? You also need to think about your data as well. Can you operate your business remotely? Do you have cloud storage? Is your data regularly backed up? And do you understand your obligations around protecting the information? So as you're coming up with solutions for some of the challenges that you may face as a business, make sure that you're thinking about your technological challenges as well and what that means for you continuing to operate your business, perhaps from afar. So as I mentioned, on page 5 of your business continuity template, you do have a start of that assessment. So in there, start to think about what the biggest risks are to your business, what existing and current controls you have in place to deal with the risks that you face, and what actions can you take today to mitigate those risks. Once you've assessed all your risks, you also have the ability to input them into your CrisisReady app as well. In the top left-hand corner, you'll see that there's a button called Risks. So just click on that and select the biggest risks that pertain to your business. Now, please note that we do take an all hazards approach through the app, but prioritizing which risks are most likely to impact your business is quite important in determining your setup of the app. So once you've inputted all the information, the idea is that in a crisis situation, you'll hit that button in the bottom right-hand corner that says Start Crisis, and it will guide you through your response based on the type of risks that you have, the actions that you are responsible for, and who is involved in your crisis response planning. So make sure that you're setting your app up as you go through these videos. So that's the end of our preparedness. It's all about that risk assessment, understanding what your risks are, prioritizing those risks that are most likely to impact your business and have the biggest impact, and working out ways that you can take action to reduce the impact of those and prepare for the risks that your business is likely to have. If you do have any questions, make sure you send through an email. I'm more than happy to support you at any time through this process. Thank you so much. And if you do need assistance, please do not hesitate in reaching out. Now, the next videos coming up, we've had prepare, so we're going to prevent, respond, and recover.